Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of French auction portal Intermarché, we're going to have a look at another auction by the French auction house Vichy. So those of you who've been watching the channel will have seen that I've done two other videos about Vichy auctions. It's a big French auction house. They like to do these auctions back to back, usually 3 or sometimes 4 auctions back to back. And they have auctions on the 25th, 26th and 27th of March. I've done videos for the other two auctions, and this is the auction for the 27th of March. It's going to be mainly violins, bows, a few violas, cellos, etc., that kind of stuff. The first auction was mixed musical instruments and some violins. The second auction was basically violins and bows. First auction was fairly interesting. Second one was a little bit dull. Let's see how this last one goes on. So this is a French auction, so bear that in mind if you're bidding outside of France. Import, export, shipping, all of that stuff, CITES restrictions, etc. 25% is the buyer's premium, so whatever the final hammer price is, you need to add that on top. Other than that, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, etc. As with the other videos, we're just going to blitz through this because like these are the lower tier auctions in general, so it's going to be a lot of the same stuff like trade violins, French stuff, German stuff. A lot of it's going to be not super exciting, so we're just going to blitz through it as quickly as possible. If there's anything interesting, I'll stop. Feel free to kind of comment if you think I missed something or you just want to know any information. Right, anyway, starting off, let's see some general 20th century stuff. We're in the French things as well, as expected for a French auction. Let's have a look at this Lebert Humbert violin there. £400 to £500, euros, sorry, 359 length of back. Nothing particularly exciting. Let's hope that it gets a little bit better. We're going to have a sea of French stuff, JTLs, etc. Violin of the German school. So, interesting. Looks fairly standard stuff there. 19th century violin from the JTL workshops. Also fairly standard, but I don't mind some of that stuff. It can be interesting. But we're going to see a lot of that German violin with a Bergonzi label there. So once again, nothing particularly out of the ordinary. So let's hope for a few better things in this auction a bit later on. Okay, interesting. Jean-Joseph Philippe Grandjean, quarter size violin there, made circa 1840. Yeah, really nice, nice back there. So nice looking violin. Obviously has a few kind of unfortunate cracks to it, but that is at least fairly interesting. The Mircore violin here, fairly good condition. Nothing super exciting, but make good kind of instruments for students. I've got a lot of other Mircore stuff here as well. I think we're just going to go past that for now. Another JTL. It is sometimes worth looking at these JTL things because some of them can be fairly decent. Yeah, I think that's kind of actually not too bad one. 200 to 300. 359 says damage varnish, but I kind of like the look of that actually. Kind of interesting antiquing there. 20th century violin without its fingerboard. It's got some unfortunate breaks there. Shame actually looked like it was kind of an okay looking violin there. Right, we're on to some bows now. So let's see what's going on here. See if there's anything particularly interesting. Always a sucker for these kind of bows. Viola bow in the school of Gouyard or Goulard, whatever it is. I will do terrible pronunciation as always. Chipped head and frog. German cello bow there in Abil in B-wood. 50 to 60 euros on that. You can already see that the bow quality is a little bit better in this auction already. Not the instruments though. Okay, couple of interesting bows here. Mircore 20th century 3/4. And modern Baroque cello bow in Amoret. Amoret being kind of like low figure snakewood essentially. 100 to 120 euros there. 66 grams. Okay, quite like that. It's quite nice looking. Medifino, it's kind of lower tier French stuff there. Eastern European, 19th century. Violin by Charles Bailly. Made in Miracle 1924, so heavily damaged. Needs a lot of work there, 3 to 400. Some German stuff here. Let's see if we can find anything interesting here. More Miracle stuff. Okay, let's have a look here. Violin by Charles Louis Colomazar Fee. Miracle 1930. We saw another one of these, I think, or another member of the family for the 20th century in the other auction. So 20th century violin decorated on the back. Let's see. Okay, that's one of these crazy kind of trade violins. Okay, more Miracle stuff. Let's have a look at another JTL. Why not? Actually, quite a nice piece of wood there on the back. 352 length back. Okay, that's interesting. That's a good size. Guadagnini model, apparently. Okay, Bazin School violin bow here. Yeah, the bow's always good, I think, in these auctions, whatever the tier. I've never have a problem with the bows. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff on offer. Interesting German bow there. It's just some of the instruments in these lower tier Vichy cells I struggle with, to be honest. I just find them a bit dull. But here's hoping for some other interesting violins, etc. Lebert violin there. Violin bow, 3 to 400. Okay, right, violin made around 1900 with a label for Scarampella, 358. Yeah, kind of interesting, so that's good. A good start so far on this page. More Miracle stuff. Miracle violin made around 1800 in the style of Didier Nicolas Ain. Quite like that, actually. Obviously needs a bit of attention. 362 length back, 3 to 400. Yeah, that is fairly decent. More Miracle stuff here. The endless sea of Miracle stuff. Early 20th century violin here. The Guarnerius label. I think it's more kind of standard trade stuff that's just looks a bit funky. 20th century German violin. Steiner iron marks. That's your classic trade violin there. See if there's anything else. Lots and lots of Miracle stuff here. Here's a violin by Claude Raymond Henry, Miracle 1830. You can see all these kind of 1830s, 20s, 40s Miracle violins. A lot of them look very similar, same kind of model really. Simon School violin bow there. Quite an interesting head on that. Violin bow by Francois Lot, 1935. See. Should be hitting some more instruments soon. Double bass bow there by Charles Louis Bazin. That's an interesting bow. Ironwood viola bow, School of Peugeot Gouriard. Frog and knob of the same period. Head broken and restored. That's a great kind of repair there. In fact, it looks... I was actually going to make a comment there, but I won't. But yeah, interesting looking repair that, for sure. Okay, 20th century Miracle violin. 360 length of back. Let's have a quick look at the scroll. Yeah, fairly tidy. JTL's the Salazar. Some of that stuff can be quite nice. Yeah, I don't mind that. Bit of a weird button on that. It's a bit weird. 4 to 600. 360 length of backs. Not terrible for French violins. For some French violins of that time. So can't argue with that. Feeling a little bit uninspired though by this catalogue. JTL violin there. Yeah, not too bad. I'm pretty sure I had one of these at one point as well. Like quite a nice one of those JTLs. Okay, Violin by Francois Pillamont, Miracle 1830. Very interesting there. So let's just go back on this one, which has a Testore label. Okay, interesting. 19th century Miracle Violin, the Nicholas Ain model. So many of those about. More bows. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. Some German bows. Few of these ones I really like. I should probably stop looking at every single bow that looks like that. Let's see what else we've got here. Is there anything interesting? Bizarre School violin bow. 3 to 400. Definitely good bow opportunities here. More German stuff. JTL. It's all fairly standard. Violin, probably Eastern Europe, late 19th century. Okay. Ooh, similar stuff here. 20th century violin. Let's have a look at that. Big crack there at the back, unfortunately. More bows. Peugeot school bow there. Okay. Okay, 3/4 student cello there. Definitely in need of some TLC. Actually, let's have a look at this JTL bow. 18th century German violin with a Stadelmann label. Definitely in need of a lot of work. More Miracle stuff, JTL. 20th century Miracle violin. Okay. 3/4 German violin. Let's see. Miracle violin made around 1800. School of Nicolas Francois Viola. 362 is not too bad. 2 to 300. Violin by Joseph Perrin, made in Miracle around 1830, 1000 to 1200. Okay, interesting looking violin. That. A few pictures on that. It looks in pretty good condition. 359, not terrible length of back. Okay, that's our school. Violin bow and ironwood. 150 to 200 euros. I quite like the looks of ironwood, I have to say. I think it is quite curious. Okay. 20th century German violin, signed E. Dorfler and Sons, Amaret wood. Okay. A few more bows here. Nothing too crazy. More French instruments here. Just going through. Let's have a look at this. Nice Husson Butod Thibourville 3/4 violin there. Seems fairly pricey. More Miracle stuff here. German. Cello head made in a Milanese copy. Traces of worm. Okay, a few more bows appearing here. JTL bow there. 3 to 400 on that. Okay, Hamann School viola bow. Still wonder if many people play on bows like that. It's a good question. Exotic wood violin bow from the Simon School. Okay, Stick and Bow Button by Morrison. Frog by Kunio Huri. Okay, interesting. 20th century miracle violin. Let's see. Cello half side, made in Mexico. Okay, interesting. In the 50s. Well, something a bit different. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of not against that. It's certainly one of the most interesting things so far that we've seen. It probably doesn't say a lot about the auction, but unfortunately true. Right, full-size cello here, 20th century cello, marked for N Ordino. I kind of like that. It's quite plain, but interesting. 3 to 400, not against that at all. The half-size cello there. Yeah, we're not seeing anything super crazy. It's a minor cello there. It's a fairly straightforward trade instrument there. Let's see. So 2 violins. Miracle, German, a few more bows here. Kunio Huri. Let's have a look at that. Asian violin bow, okay. Signed Francois Lot. Okay, Frog and Knob by Roger Jerome. Interesting. A few more bows here. Double bass bow, Miracle. And that is it. That is the end of the auction. So, not super exciting either, to be quite honest. Once again, the bow section, fairly interesting. Instruments, not so much, sadly. And that is kind of life for these lower tier Vichy auctions. But if you're into French violins and you want an opportunity to restore something, repair something, you've got plenty in these auctions. So check out the link to the catalogue in the description. Thanks a lot for watching this. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.